Welcome to Zac Narrates D&D. This is episode 1 from a Curse of Strahd game I'm running through Talespire. Light content warnings for betrayal and descriptions of violence. Episode 1. Fenric Grantham, the Marionette. Fenric stands before a set of large double doors. They open to reveal a great dusty hall dimly lit by sputtering torches in iron sconces. Glancing up, he sees 8 stone gargoyles, their faces shadowed. To the south is another lit hallway. This one ends in a set of bronze doors. From behind the doors, he hears the sad and majestic tones of organ music. The ever-present pull in the back of Fenric's mind that guides him towards vampires tugs in that direction. He stumbles for a moment. The pull is so strong it's almost hard to focus. Swiftly crossing the entry, he strides down the hall. This is important. He can feel it. Fenric's hand reaches out for the door when it swings open on its own. Standing in the doorway is his wife, Talara. She looks paler than he remembers, but otherwise so real and perfect he could cry. She smiles and reaches out a hand. "Come," she says. "My master's waiting for you." Fenric's mind reels. How is she here? After all this time searching, he finds her just like this? What master? Taking his hand, she leads him into the room. Inside, 3 enormous crystal chandeliers illuminate a magnificent chamber. Pillars of stone stand against dull white marble walls, supporting the ceiling. At the center of the far west wall, between floor-to-ceiling mirrors, stands a massive organ. Its pipes blare out a thunderous melody that speaks in its tone of greatness and despair. Seated at the organ, facing away from Fenric, a single caped figure pounds the keys in a rapture of ecstasy. The figure suddenly stops, and as a deep silence falls over the dining hall, it slowly turns around. "Ah," he says, his eyes lighting up with interest. "Fenric, thank you for joining us at last." The mental pull in his mind snaps Fenric out of his shock. This is a vampire, and a dangerous one, and Talara is right there. Pulling Talara behind him, Fenric draws his sword. This creature will not take her from him. The man smiles. "Oh, but I already have." He looks over Fenric's shoulder. "Talara, darling, tear his throat out for me." Talara's grip in Fenric's hand goes rigid before she pulls him backwards with inhuman strength. Fenric steps back, off balance, just once, before claws find his throat and tear it open. Blood gushes from the wound as he gasps for breath and drops to one knee. One hand over his throat, Fenric grits his teeth. This is not how it ends. Snarling, he looks up to see Talara licking the blood from elongated claws, her eyes shining red. She steps to the side as the man finishes his approach. Blood hardens into a coat around Fenric's neck. He can breathe again, though he doesn't remove his hand, concealing his recovery. "Don't feel bad," the man chuckles. "It was always going to end this way. After all, you're only a pale imitation." He draws a scimitar from a sheath at his waist. "In what world could you ever threaten me?" Fenric coils his legs under his body, ready to strike, when the vampire casually flicks the sword to the side and beheads Talara. Fenric's heart freezes as first her head, then her body hits the floor. Fenric wakes in his camp. The fire has burned to embers. His body is cold and stiff with frost. Rubbing his eyes, he realizes there's a card in his hand. Looking at it, it's a Taraka card, the marionette, with something scribbled on the back. It says, "The Nightmare's Stable in Daggerford."